Hi, I'm Greg Lefebvre, and this is The Compulsive Storyteller, a series of short personal stories where we explore the idea that truth can be stranger than fiction. This week's episode, entitled Bigmouth, takes us to Cape Cod, where in my 17th summer, my parents leave me their beach house and their convertible. Life is great. Then I meet a surfer girl named Barbara Ann, and things get even better. I found paradise on earth. Every 17-year-old's dream come true. Then things go south, way south. Bigmouth. In the summer of my 17th year, my parents rent a beach house for the whole season on the south shore of Cape Cod. The family spends a month and a half there together, and then they head home to New York, letting me have the house all to myself for the rest of the summer. Not only that, but my dad leaves me the keys to his second car, a shiny new black Corvair convertible, and says, "Have fun, and don't make me regret trusting you with this." If things couldn't get any better, shortly after they leave, a very pretty girl I met on the beach named Barbara Ann, who calls herself a surfer girl, stays over one night. In the morning, she wants cigarettes, so I gallantly jump out of bed, grab the keys to the car, and saunter out the door to drive to the drugstore and pick her up some Marlboros. I jump in the convertible, its wire wheels sparkling in the morning summer sun, and the red upholstery warm on my back. I put the top down and head out on my mission. Catching a glimpse of myself in the rearview mirror, I think, wow, life couldn't be better. I have a great beach house all to myself. I'm driving a very cool car with the top down, and there's a pretty surfer girl back in my bed waiting for my return. This is paradise. Every 17-year-old's dream come true. When I get to the first intersection, there's a stop sign with some bushes obscuring my view of oncoming traffic. So I pull past the sign so I can see around the corner before coming to a complete stop. Sadly, what I see is an oncoming police car. He pulls up directly in front of me, blocking my path, and then comes over, first looking at my New York license plate, and then down at me, sitting in my new convertible with the top down and my long hair tousled by the wind. "License and registration," he demands. First, I hand him the registration from the glove compartment. Then as I reach for my wallet, I realize to my horror that I've forgotten it at the house. I stall for a minute by explaining why I came to a stop beyond the sign. He is unmoved by my explanation and curtly continues, "License?" So then I try, "Officer, I was just going out for some cigarettes and forgot my wallet. Can I give you my keys, run back on foot to my house just around the block, get my wallet, and return in less than 5 minutes?" He continues bluntly, "No." "Officer, you couldn't give me a ride, could you?" I ask, thinking to myself, "Dream on, Greg." "No," he says again, "get out of the car. I'm arresting you for operating a motor vehicle without a license." "But I have a license. He interrupts, "Give me your keys," and then demands, "Exit the vehicle." Strangely, he doesn't pat me down, nor does he read me my Miranda rights. Instead, he has me put my hands behind my back, cuffs me, and I can't help but saying to him, "This is a joke. Cuffs for a minor traffic stop?" As he pushes me toward his cruiser, without a word, I continue, "At least let me put up the top. It looks like it might rain." He doesn't respond as he continues to push me, so I add, "If it rains and my leather upholstery is ruined, that's on you, and I will pursue it." It was a good bluff, but he wasn't having it at all. As he pushes me into the rear seat of his cruiser, he dispenses with a normal hand on top of the head, and so the top right side of my head hits the door frame hard. He slams the door shut, and I look out the rearview mirror and see the car sitting there and think, God, my dad's going to kill me if the car gets damaged. Not a word from him. As we drive to the station, I could feel my heart beating and the big welt growing on top of my head. Because of the cuffs, I can't even reach up and see if it's bleeding. The little voice in my head says, "Man, get a hold of yourself. You can't talk back like that. You're going to get a lot worse than a bump on the head." At the police station, the arresting officer and another cop question me. The other cop asks, "What happened to your head?" and smiles, and then looks at the report and asks, "You're from New York?" I answer yes. He continues, "New York City?" I answer yes again. Then he says, "Let me ask you something. Are you a New York Jew?" Well, I'm not Jewish. I respond angrily once again and say without thinking, "What does that have to do with anything? It's totally irrelevant to a traffic violation or any violation." He smiles then and says, "Ah, so you are." Then he stands me up and says, "Come on, let's go." Again, I say to myself, "Greg, you're a lot smarter than this. Just say yes, sir, no, sir, I'm sorry, sir, or things are going to get much, much worse." Do I take my own advice? Of course not. So my little outburst gets me an express ticket to the only cell in the station, a small, grimy cinder block room with a steel slab that serves as a bed, no pillow or blanket, a stainless steel toilet without a seat, and no toilet paper. When they take my belt so I can't hang myself, I ask, "You really think I'm going to hang myself over a traffic violation?" At this point, one of them grabs me from behind, and the other one gives me a very solid punch in my solar plexus, which doubles me over. The one doing the punching says to the other, "Let's leave it at that. We don't want the judge to see him any more banged up than he already is," and the other cop laughs. I'm only allowed a single phone call, so I decide to call Barbara Ann, picturing her waiting in bed for me to return. The phone rings and rings, but no one picks up. "Damn it," I say to myself. When I ask for a second call, the cop says, "Nothing doing until you go in front of a judge, which won't happen until tomorrow morning." So I spend a sleepless night in my cell. All night long I badger myself about keeping my mouth shut, hoping that the big welt on my head and the emerging black and blue patch on my stomach will keep painfully reminding me to do so. I think of the car sitting out all night with the top down and my dad's reaction if something happens, and then I think about Barbara Ann and wonder what's happened to her. The next morning, I'm taken before a local judge. After listening attentively to the arresting officer's report of my misdeeds, it's my turn. As I start to tell my side of the story, he turns his swivel chair so his back is toward me and looks out the window, saying over his shoulder, "Let me know when you're done." Then he continues to ignore everything I have to say. I'm about to demand that he turn around and face me, but luckily, the little voice in my head keeps me from exacerbating the situation any further. When I'm finished, he turns around and reads a series of charges, including driving without a license, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, etc., and fines me $175, announcing, "You will be remanded to the local police station until you pay your fine in full." "But, Your Honor, to come up with the money, I need to make another call." He responds, "You had your call." Then I ask, "How am I supposed to get out of here if I can't call someone to pay the fine?" He says, "You should have thought of that before you behaved the way you did." Next, I unwisely ask, "So since I can't make a call, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life in your jail then? A life sentence for a traffic violation? Don't you think that's a bit excessive?" At this point, I not only feel like biting my tongue, I feel like biting my tongue off. He reprimands me again, and somehow I manage to accept what he has to say without any more intemperate responses. I even apologize, and then he relents and allows me to make a call. I phone my buddy Dick Sacchetti, whose parents own a sub shop near our beach house. Dick comes with the money, and 28 hours after my arrest, I am released. As we leave the station, he says, "You know, Lefebvre, you've really got a big mouth," which I certainly have to accept. When we get to his car, he continues, "Now let's pick up your car, get your wallet, and head for your bank." When we reach the scene of the crime, miraculously, there is my car, top down, dry, and in perfect shape, which is more than I can say for myself. We drive separately to the beach house, and I went in to get my wallet and see what's happened to Barbara Ann. I call out her name a few times. Barbara? Barbara Ann? And there's no response. So I head into the bedroom to retrieve my wallet from the bedside table where I left it. There is no wallet to be found, there or anywhere else. After a frantic search, I sit on the edge of my bed, feeling totally discouraged, and moan, I can't believe she stole my wallet. I don't even know her last name. Then it occurs to me that her first name, Barbara Ann, is the name of a huge hit by the Beach Boys this summer. You remember. Ba 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 Baran. And it probably is not her real given name either. The word chump comes up in my mind. Paradise has become paradise lost in just the wink of an eye, and every 17-year-old's dream has become a nightmare. The little voice in my head says, that's called karma, and it's pronounced ha ha ha. The Compulsive Storyteller is written and narrated by me, Greg Lefebvre, and co-produced with Peter Kokoma, who also made our theme song. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love your help sharing the show. Please subscribe to The Compulsive Storyteller for free on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen, and it would be great if you could leave a review. Follow the show on Instagram @The Compulsive Storyteller, and check out our website for more info at thecompulsivestoryteller.com. Thanks for listening, and if you didn't like this one, the next one will be another story.